are, right? And who uses Instagram stories for anything, for any sort of Instagram stories? Okay, so many yeses. Every day, yes, me. Eden, you're too nice. But no, so one really fun thing that I think we all get to do on this journey is grow, right? Every step of the way, we're learning new things, we're trying new things. The principles always stay the same, but we get to have fun with it. And one thing I love using is Instagram stories. And I also love being on Instagram stories. And some of the reasons why I love it is I feel like it's real life. And what we're doing here is we are on a journey, right? This is our lifestyle. Isagenix is a part of my life, this business, like it's all intertwined. And so what better way to show that is Instagram stories, not just one like power post, right? A lot of us are so used to like, okay, we're gonna, put a power post up because Black Friday is coming up, or share a transformation and share a little piece of our journey. With Instagram stories, we get to show that every step of the way. And it's really been so helpful, I know, for me and for my team and for everyone really to start tapping into a larger market. I met my sponsor via social media, and I loved just being able, before I even know what she was up to, I knew it was something I wanted to be a part of. And it wasn't just the shakes, and it wasn't just the cleanse, and it wasn't just a transformation. It was just this lifestyle that looked fun and abundant, and there was travel and extra income and just feeling amazing really is what I saw. And I was like, I need to be a part of that. So the way I think of social media is I want to be that light for somebody else who's looking for a change in their life. And I'm super excited to share some fun little tips and stuff that I've learned along the way, because I've found that a lot of people have reached out to me via Instagram stories, and it's super non-threatening, it's really fun, and it doesn't have to be perfect. And even while you're learning and even while you're trying different things, you're gonna reach new people along the way, and it's gonna help you grow. So one thing that I love about stories is they're really fun, right? Like there's the GIFs, and there's fun like text that you can write over photos, you can do videos, you really get to bring people along with your day-to-day. And as influencers and trendsetters and entrepreneurs, like we all are, we get to use this real life tool to let people in, to let people into our journey and let them know that we'll be there for them when they're ready to make a change and when they're ready to jump in too. So I kind of broke down some of my favorite tips, and I'm so open to questions. So feel free to send them in the chat if you have like specific questions about any of the little things we're going to go over. But first thing I would say is, write one kind of exercise, I guess it would be, and you can even do it tonight or right now. Write out all the things that you think of that you absolutely love about being on this journey. And I think one of my biggest tips is that consistency is key. And sometimes being consistent in the busyness of our world, right, especially heading into the holidays and into the new year, and when the work week kicks in, and a lot of people still have full-time jobs and this is a part-time thing, right? But that doesn't mean you don't get to be consistent too. So planning goes a long way. And I have a little formula that I do where I always try and do, let's just use, instead of a power post, right, like a power story, I try and do 2 every week. One more focused on the solutions we have to offer for, weight loss and energy and feeling good and all of that. And one more about this lifestyle and this opportunity and this life-changing business opportunity, and kind of go along those lines. And then in between those 2, I fill in the gaps throughout the week with little things here or there. Somebody asked, is it necessary to have a large following, and our hashtags necessary? So as far as following, when I first got started, following doesn't translate at all to your business and how things are growing. I think the key is just starting somewhere and just reaching, 1 or 2 people and just practicing and growing and always being open to making those new connections and chatting with new people. It will grow with you, which is so fun. And hashtags, we'll chat about hashtags too. So,
Allie, real quick, sorry, real quick. So can you just clarify for people, because a lot of people again are kind of getting familiarized with social media or with Instagram. And when you say something power story, right? Like I know what that means. I think some people know what that means, but what is a power story when you say power post, power story, just kind of for people who are still just kind of learning how to do all this? What would you consider to be, what does that mean?
Yeah, that's so good. I forgot. I wouldn't have known what a power story was either, or a power post. So for me, a power post is like when I really share my heart and I really share what's up and what's going on and what's possible with this. And then I always end it with a call to action, meaning like I open it up so that people can say that they want to be a part of it too. And we'll talk about that as well. So whether it's, sharing about transformations and staying healthy into the holidays and shouting out somebody on your team who's feeling amazing and saying, super excited for friends joining our team, like who wants to do this with us or who wants to get healthy together, or, who else would love to earn some extra income during the holidays, things like that are very specific to what you have to offer and asking who wants to join type thing, versus just, the day-to-day where I show my yummy shake or I'm cleansing and feeling awesome and things like that, where it's more just like casual, this is my lifestyle. Twice a week, I try and do I set the intention that I'm making an Instagram story that's specifically going to share what we're up to and see who else wants to join is what I characterize that as. Does that help?
That's perfect. So just to recap, so a power story is you're coming out with it. Like, here's what I'm up to. Here's what's happening with the team. Here's what's happening because of these products. Here's what's happening with the opportunity. And I think a key component is that there's always a call to action at the end of a power story. Is that right?
Yes, always. And it can be, some ideas for Instagram stories specific are polls. There's a way to add a poll in the top corner of the Instagram stories, the same way you would add like a hashtag or a location. There's also a poll, and I always make both answers be like a heck yes, I'm in, let's do this, need a refresh, down for some extra income, whatever it is. I always make them be both positive, because I don't really care if somebody doesn't want, they don't need to vote on my poll, right? We want people voting who are super interested in wanting to chat. So polls are a good way. There's also a questions feature where people can ask questions, but they can also just comment. It doesn't have to be a question, so they could drop like an emoji in there if they're interested. You could also just say something like, message me. My inbox is always open, or I can't wait to chat. Something like that, because I think sometimes people feel a little nervous to make that first message, but when they know that you're going to be there for them and you're excited to chat, they'll be so ready to reach out when the timing's right. Yeah, always a call to action on the power posts or power stories. And I use that list of all the things that I write out that I absolutely love about this journey as different topics to talk about on stories. And it helps with the consistency factor, right? So having extra energy, feeling good through the holidays, less stress. I know I used to always feel like I was like stressing about what I was going to eat and how I was going to undo what I did over the weekend, or stress about how I was going to pay for, Christmas gifts or things like that, or be able to travel with the family. All of the things that you love about this, the community, meeting new friends, the inspiration, all of that kind of stuff is important for people to see about your journey, not just the weight loss. Like, I got started to lose weight. That was all I really wanted. And I ended up realizing it was so much more. And I think we get to share that because we're going to reach so many more people that way. Because I know I have even my own sister who we get to do this together. Her goal wasn't weight loss. So if I always used social media as a way to share my weight loss journey, I'd probably only reach people who also wanted to lose weight, right? Or if I only showed a shake, people are only going to think I have a shake to offer. But we all know on this call, it's so much more than just a shake. And so when I think about stories and sharing my journey, whether it's a post or stories, really, I want to share all of those things. And I actually just thought of one thing. One time I was on a call just like this, and I left feeling so energized at night. And I actually had to go to the hospital the next morning. It was when I was still working full time. But I had all of this energy, and it was reminding me that before this system, before this community, before this opportunity, and all this extra energy that I have now, I used to be that person that like needed to be in bed by 9 p.m. and everyone knew like not to bother me because I'd be so grumpy I had to get up really early. And I hopped on story literally in my office like this, probably like in pajamas because I wasn't training on the call. And I just talked into this Instagram story about how that experience that I just shared with you, that I always used to have to go to bed so early in order to not be grumpy the whole next day. And then I was introduced to the system, and oh my gosh, like my husband was the first one who noticed I was like still up and doing things at night. And I had people reach out that wanted some extra energy in their life too, and they ended up getting started. So it's just so funny. You never know. People are watching your stories for sure. And the more you engage with them off of their stories and find people who inspire you and connect with them and just engage on there, the more people that will see yours as well, which is really cool. So my next tip, kind of along that line, is you get to be you on Instagram stories. You don't have to do it like somebody else. You don't have to, share. You really just get to share from your heart and share what this means to you and add value to people's life with Isagenix and what's possible, but also in other things. So I also love to just share fun finds that I find at Trader Joe's or fun little recipes that I'm making through the holidays. I think a lot of people resonate with kind of finding balance through the holidays. I also love shouting people out in the community. That's such a nice way. I remember thinking when I first started, well, I don't have this crazy, story with this incredible business just yet, working on it, but where do I start, right? And we have this huge community of people who are doing amazing things that you are a part of, and you're excited about going there too. And on Mondays, I use kind of hashtag Monday motivation or hashtag Monday payday as kind of a theme on Mondays, right? Most people go to work on Mondays and they're probably at a job that they don't love that much. Maybe they're usually not getting paid every Monday morning, that's for sure. And sometimes they're not feeling that great, especially after a holiday weekend of eating and drinking and all that fun stuff. So I love doing a power post or power story on Mondays, especially about one of those topics, feeling really good and also earning residual income, especially after last week. So that little formula I shared of the two power stories, one of them, my goal is always to be on Mondays for sure. And if you kind of plan them out on, let's say, Sunday or Saturday, if that's when you plan for the next week, if you kind of plan out what your themes are going to be and what you want to share about, you already have those ready to go when the busy week kicks in. And then you can just fill in the gaps in between those two stories with just life, right? Like going to the gym or your kids or my puppy. He's always on my stories, right? It's the things you love. Let me think. Okay, so one way to kind of stand out in between other people's stories is I find doing like bright photos. And one really easy way, especially if you're just gonna like get on camera real quick and shout someone out or share something or share a fun little tip, just stand by the window and face the window and hold your phone this way, and you'll get good lighting usually from the window if it's daylight out. Even in the car, a parked car for sure. Sometimes there's good lighting in there just from the light coming in. Honestly, I've like been in the parking lot at Trader Joe's and thought about something that I wanted to share on Instagram, and I just do it right then and there. And it gets to be real life. So it doesn't have to be this like perfect photo that we need for our feed where, like you can just do it throughout the day. People want to see the real you and know that they can fit this into their busy life too, and that they can do it too. Let me just pause right there because I know we've gone over a lot, and see if anybody has any questions. So I always look put together for my stories. That's such a good question. And also I think I just want to share too, when you first start anything, when it's your first call with somebody about Isagenix, when it's your first time chatting about the opportunity with someone for Isagenix, maybe it's not even Isagenix, when it was my first day, my first week, my first couple months at my new job, it was a little nervous, right? Or at a new school, whatever it is, you're a little nervous when you try something new. So it's okay when you're first getting on Instagram stories to feel a little nervous, but guess what? You can redo the video. You can X out and start all over. And I've done videos sometimes where I start over like 5 times before I get it right because I'm, a little nervous or tripping on my words, and you get to practice, which is fun. And as far as being put together, of course, some days I love to be put together on there, but other days I'm in pajamas with no makeup on a Monday, but that's kind of fun too, because I remember the days where I couldn't do that on a Monday and I had to get put together whether I wanted to or not to go to work. So Definitely not. Maybe you have your hair up in a bun and you're heading to the gym. Like, that's real life for people, and you have your shake in your hand because it's so quick, or maybe afterwards, things like that. One of the objections I think we probably sometimes get, right, is that, oh, people are too busy or they don't have time for that. So them seeing you be able to do this and kill it even in your busy schedule, that's important too. So it definitely doesn't have to be perfect. Elisa said it's making your own real life like a movie. You get to be the director. It's so true. And Eden mentioned this today, and I think it's so helpful. So when you have an Instagram story up, there's like a little ring around your photo in the corner, right? And you want, when somebody comes across your page, or somebody first starts following you, or you do a post and it kind of reminds them to go to your page, you want them to always see that kind of circle so they can see what you're up to. So most days, even if it's just something light and fun or inspirational, I always try and have something on there. I have a Pinterest board, which is fun. It doesn't have to be a Pinterest board. It can just be screenshots of fun, inspirational messages that speak to me. And I try and always share those on Mondays as well. Sometimes people are feeling kind of down, or, not really sure where to next. And I always want people, when they come to my page, to feel like inspired and to feel like they have a little extra light in their life and they can do whatever they want to too. So I love sharing. I mean, Zach has the best ones, and he comes up with them. I'm not quite there yet. I use ones from Pinterest that I find, or from other people's pages who inspire me. But just sharing like some inspiration, some tips. If you're really into fitness, share those things. Share all the things you love. Maybe it's about being a busy mom, but still getting to do something you love, so you can be the best mom, and you can be like, set the example for your kids, and do this for them, and take them on trips, and all of that. It will go a long way, and you're going to meet so many people. And some ways to meet more people that way is to tag the location on your story. So if you're out and about and you're posting a story from where, maybe you're at Whole Foods, or maybe you're at Trader Joe's, or maybe you're at the park with your kids, if you go into that top little icon, the same way you would add a poll or things like that, you can add a location. And if your profile is public, which it should be, people can see locations that way, and you'll meet people in your community that way. So I always try and do locations if I'm somewhere fun. Hashtags are good too, when they go along with kind of what you're sharing, like, smoothie or superfoods or adaptogens, things like that. Transformation, Woman Crush Wednesday, like that's another theme. I always try and use themes from real life. So whether it's like Women Crush Wednesday, or like things I'm grateful for this time of year, or healthy into the holidays, being healthy into the holidays, or resetting for the new year, or things that Isagenix comes up with as well, like a Disney trip or a fun promo. Use those things and make a power post around it, but share you too. So that's my next biggest tip. You don't want to just use like pictures of shakes, or pictures of promotions, or quotes, or just transformations. People want to see you. They're following along with you because they want to see what you're up to. So even if it makes you a little nervous those first couple of times, definitely hop on there and just share a little bit. Maybe it's just they're just 15 seconds, the videos, and it doesn't have to be really long. In fact, people click through if it's too many speaking videos in a row. So I always like to mix it up. So I'll do like one or two where I'm talking, and then I'll do one with like a fun, bright photo with maybe some text over it. And then maybe I'll kind of share a transformation that I'm talking about, in that story. And then I'll go back to maybe talking a little bit with me. And then I'll do a fun, just like bright color with a poll on it at the end. And I think the variety keeps it really exciting because people kind of just scroll through stories, right? Sometimes it's mindless. And I think standing out like that is super helpful. One app that I really love that makes it easy to stand out and super easy to kind of get the look going is Unfold. And somebody can type it in this. Yeah, Zach did. Unfold app. I'm pretty sure it's free. And it's very simple. There's a couple colors. I even just like the white background. There's like blue and green and pink and yellow. And it has different layouts that you can just drop photos in. So instead of just being like a transformation like cut off, or a photo of someone that had an awesome week that you're shouting out, you can put it on this fun, bright background with their name on it, let's say, or something fun, and then kind of share a little bit of the story around it. And it might take a little while to kind of get used to the app, but once you have it down, you can save a template. So that's what I do. I have one saved, Monday Motivation, or Motivation Monday. And on Mondays, I just go to that and I think about all the fun things that are happening on our team. And I drop photos of people in there to shout out, and I share a little bit of their story. And that's kind of like my last fun tip is don't just share the what. That's the biggest piece. So not just the side-by-side transformation. We all know there's so much more behind that, right? Like what it's been able to do for you or for them or your friend, and how things have changed, right? Like the confidence that they've gained, or their health, you know, so they can run around with their kids and feel energized enough after work to play with the kids before bed, things like that. But also with the business, right? It's not just about a $3,000 or a $500 Monday payday. It's like, what's that able to do? Jesse said the why, exactly. What's that able to do? People will kind of relate to that more so than just like a screenshot of like a fun Monday bonus that they're not even sure what that's really about, right? So I always try and kind of bring people along for like the journey, really, not just like, oh my God, this is so exciting, amazing, or all the ingredients in like what the shakes are. We all know the ingredients are amazing, but most people want to know, well, what's it going to do for me? Like, why do I need that in my life? And mostly it's because they're going to feel amazing or what they're going to gain from it, not so much like the exact ingredients in it, right? So do share fun little tips here and there about ingredients and stuff, but for the most part, I'm always thinking of like the why. Why do we do this? Why do we love this? And who wants to be a part of it with us, really, which is so fun. So Eden said, can you talk about why you're more focused on being consistent with stories? Oh yeah, than in my feed. So I find personally that I look through stories way more than I look through posts, like scrolling down to see Instagram posts. I'm mostly going across the top at stories. And it's because I really want to see what people are up to in the moment. And, you know, with algorithms and stuff, sometimes we see certain people's, and now we see posts from a couple days ago, right? And stories are real life. Like now, like I want to see people having fun on Thanksgiving or on Friday hanging out versus like a photo from 3 weeks ago. And sometimes I don't even have time, busy. I don't even have time to read through everyone's posts and all the words and stuff. So I can click through and see a lot of, you know, see what they're up to. So I know personally a few people did polls on Instagram stories asking, do you look at posts or scroll through stories? And the majority on all of the polls was stories now. So I feel like it's shifting that way. And we really want to be in the stories already and already doing it, right, as more and more people are starting to watch them. Crystal said she spends more time on stories too. I definitely do. So just think of like when someone comes across your story, what do you want them to see? You want them to see your life and your why and what you're doing and what you're up to in like this bright, fun, energized way, especially during like the cold, at least here it's cold and dark and winter, and most people are kind of stressed and busy and getting ready for another new year where they're going to reset the same goals and all of that. And you want them to come across your page and you want them to be like, what is she doing? What is he doing? I have to do it. Let me just reach out. You know what I mean? So there's a really only up from here. I feel like more and more people are going to be watching them, and definitely watch other people's and engage in theirs. Cause like I said, they'll then see yours more often actually, the more you're engaged, and post all sorts of stuff, not just about Isagenix too, because you want them to think of you when they think of really like adding value and just learning new things and new tips and tricks, and you want to be the person that they think of to kind of call on and ask. So I hope this was super helpful. Any more questions?
So there is just really quickly, Ali, and then we'll wrap up because this has been so good. So Michael and Abra asked, is there a certain number of pages that you like to use for a power story, for example? So there are a certain number of, say, feed clicks, if you will.
Oh, that's a good question. And I saw Leo said you don't ask one more question. You don't post transformation specifically on the page. So stories is a really good way to show things that don't have to be picture perfect in your feed. There's totally nothing wrong with sharing transformations on your feed. I actually have. And there's more times where you can actually do 2 photos. So you could do like a photo of you and a friend and like scroll across, and now it's like your transformations. You guys are feeling amazing together. And that kind of keeps the aesthetic looking really nice. A lot of times transformation photos aren't like the best lighting and the best clothes, right? Like we're usually like in the mirror in a bathroom or whatever. So that's just personally why I don't do those, but stories are a really good way to do those not perfect photos and put them on a nice bright background and share a little bit about that person or yourself if it's your transformation. And then as far as how many, I think if it's too many, sometimes people click through, right? Or kind of start to scroll through. But that's okay, because I also think if people stick through to the end, they're really interested in what you're up to. So I actually go back and see who watched till the end, and I try and engage with them. If they're watching my stories through 10 frames of chatting about this business and this opportunity, they're clearly a little bit interested, even if they haven't voted on the poll. So my rule of thumb, I feel like I usually try and do definitely not more than 10. If you have a lot of people to shout out and a lot of fun transformations, I would say go for it. But usually I think like, maybe 6 or so it just depends what you're sharing about. But as long as you mix it up, if it's a couple videos and a couple fun, bright photos with some text and not just like 6 photos with all information, I think, more people would be inclined to kind of click through. But if you're keeping it fun and exciting and there's a good variety, then a couple more would be good, especially if it's shouting people out and you have 7 people you want to shout out, then go with it,
Awesome. So one last question, then we'll hop off. So thank you for that. Mona asked, do you use your polls as a way to reach out to people about Isagenix, even if your poll has nothing to do with Isagenix? So let's say you do a poll that says like, do you love doodles or, Huskies better, right? Like, will you take the people that clicked Huskies, and will you go start a conversation with them because they engaged with you? And then turn it into a connection?
Definitely, I would start a conversation. I would reach out a little bit differently than I did if someone clicked like, yes, I need a reset, right? When I shared some transformations. In that case, I'd be very direct and get right to the point of hearing their goals and setting up a call and going through that way. If it was unrelated to Isagenix, they're watching my stuff and they're excited to follow along. So I want to follow along with them and I want to chat with them and sort to like move the conversation over to what I'm up to and see what happens. But I would definitely reach out about, let's just say if it was a husky or doodle, I would start chatting about that first and I'd go to their page and see what they're up to. Maybe they have a dog too, maybe they're into fitness too or whatever, and just get the conversation going that way and start watching their stories and stuff.
Perfect. So thank you so much, guys. Show Allie a bunch of love both in the groups, on her timeline. And here's what I believe. I believe that modeling is the best way to learn, right? So go follow Allie on Instagram. So it's allie.nicole.gray, Gray, and just pay attention to what she's doing. Now, here's what's really important. And she said this at the beginning, is just be yourself, right? So it doesn't have to be perfect, right? Done is better than perfect, especially as you learn how to do this stuff. She's given you a ton of helpful tips tonight. So what I want to challenge each of you to do is just pick one thing that Allie shared tonight and go do it right after this call. So if it was learn how to use the Unfold app, go download the Unfold app and start to use it. If you know how to use the Unfold app, then go record a story, give it some context, and then share a great transformation or something like that, or a shout out inside the Unfold app. Maybe you want to shout out Allie for having such a big week. You can model what Eden did in the team pages, right? Maybe you want to shout out this community, whatever it is, right? So take just one thing or 2 things that you learned tonight and implement it right away. So Allie, thank you so much for stepping up and doing this. You're absolutely crushing it. We're so excited for you. Thank you for all the value you brought tonight. I know everyone's business is going to be impacted should they choose to take action with what you gave tonight. And thank you for leading the way in what's a very exciting space for all of us to be able to participate in. So you rock. Is there anything that you want to share to kind of wrap things up?
No, thank you guys so much. Exactly like you said, you just got to do it one step at a time, one day at a time. Just have fun with it. You can't mess it up. That's the best part. You really can't. Everything could be erased. Everything could be done over. And really just like, it doesn't have to be perfect. You're gonna be reaching new people every day, and it'll build up that confidence as you go. You get to be creative with it. You get to be you and just you'll watch things grow with your business for sure, and your team as well, because they're going to model what you do. And it's just going to duplicate, and it'll be so much fun.
So awesome. Thanks, Allie. Everybody have a great, great night. We'll see you
Bye, guys.
See you on Thursday. Bye.